So what do most people do with in the business that you do not want to do? It has to do with when you're sharing the oils, or, you know, for a class example. So if you were going to teach a class, there are all kinds of ways to teach a class, and there are all kinds of tools available, right? But here's the thing. Every time you teach a class or share one-on-one, remember this. Everything you're doing, the people that are listening to you are scanning and watching you to know, you know, if what you're doing is duplicatable. Could I do that? They're asking the question, even if they're unconscious of it. They're asking the question, you know, can I do what she's doing? Can I do what he's doing? So if you show up to teach a class and you have tons of product to display, or you have, and I've done this in the past, okay? I've done all the things I'm talking about, okay? Because in the beginning, when I started this business, I had nobody to follow, nobody to teach me. I just flat out started doing it, right? And so, you know, I started out being very, you know, expansive in my presentations and brought all kinds of things to do the class, you know. But I kept reducing it down to smaller and smaller things as time went on, because I realized that new people could not duplicate what I was doing. And when they saw what I was doing, immediately they already said to themselves, I can't do that. And it was a big red flag for most people. So over the years, I've reduced everything that I've done down to the minimum, the minimal things, keeping it very simple, very reduced down to the basics, to the core things that really, really, really need to be shared. So when I go to teach a class, or even when I'm on with, just with somebody one-on-one, you know, when it's very simple what I have. So for example, if I'm just walking around, living life at the grocery store, traveling, or wherever I'm at, I always have just a handful of oils in my purse. And I keep the oils that I love, but also those like wild orange or citrus bliss that everybody loves. Okay, most people have a good connection to wild orange. They have a positive response to smelling oranges. So it's an oil that's kind of more universal, and it's easy to understand, you know, as far as what it is. You know, you don't have to go into a huge in-depth conversation about it. So I keep the oils that I share just minimal. And even in a class, if I have my whole bag, you know, case full of oils, I only share maybe a handful. And you know, you can share as many as 1, 2, or 3, and maybe half a dozen. You do not need to go into an extensive sharing of the oils, because they can only take in a certain amount of information. You do not want to overwhelm people. It's far better to share 1 or 2 oils and allow them to experience the oils and actually ask questions about it, have time to interact about that oil, and listen to them, their experience, what they, you know, like, don't like, what they're really interested in. Because if you give them too much information, number 1, they can't remember it. Number 2, they can't really take all of that in. It's too much. And number 3, they will not be able to duplicate it. So remember, if they walk away from your class or from having a one-on-one presentation with you, they need to have been presented just enough information that they could turn around and repeat that to the person that they see next. Because they're going to go home and tell somebody. And if you gave them just one thing that they could tell, and that one, it was just one simple thing, they could remember it to repeat it. If there's too much information, it's harder for them to even share. So imagine yourself if you went to a class and the person there just shared all kinds of things about one oil. And then they asked you, what's your experience? And they, dump the oil, you get a drop of oil, and they try it, and everybody else in the class tries it, and everybody's having their experience. And imagine that now these people are sharing with each other what their experience is in the class. When they go home, do you think they're going to know about that one oil? Absolutely. Will they be able to talk about that oil? Yes, they will. So my suggestion is to make it as simple as possible and only do those things that other people can duplicate. And when I think of other people, I think about somebody that's brand new. So anytime you're going to do something, it doesn't matter if it's give an incentive. Even if you're going to make an incentive available, ask yourself if the people there can do that same thing. Everything you do, can they do that? It has to be so simple. So you're welcome. I appreciate you hopping on here, and it really doesn't matter what it is. It really is, making it duplicatable. Duplication is what works in this company. In fact, even with incentives, early in doTERRA, there weren't as many incentives. They didn't have class in the box. They didn't have all of the tools that are available now. I didn't have them to use, so we had to just kind of make it up. You don't have to now. doTERRA puts out a great incentive every month. There's always something that they're putting out. Use doTERRA's promotions. Use their incentives and use what they have. And use their materials, because other people can get their hands on what doTERRA has. I don't send people to everybody else's stuff. It's like if it exists in doTERRA, that's where I send them. Some things, they say if they wanted to use sample bottles that doTERRA doesn't have, well, they're even having that now. But you have to send them where they can get them. But as soon as doTERRA starts, providing things for you, use that. Everything that is more easily duplicatable, that's what you do. Keep it simple. Keep it doable. The least amount of effort is the most duplicatable, the most doable, and other people look at you and go, hey, I can do that. And that's what I want everybody to be able to say. Let's do the business in a way that the 70% who are just using the oils and not doing the business will look at us and say, wow, I could do the business because I see that they're doing things that I could do. Why am I not doing the business? As it is right now, a lot of people are doing the business in a way that is not attractive. It's not appealing. It's not something that a lot of people want to do. Therefore, the majority of the people who are in doTERRA are loving and using the product, and they're not doing the business. I'd like to change that. Do you want that to change on your team? I'll bet you do. What if more people that are already in doTERRA and loving the product that are on your team started doing the business, if they could see that they could do what you're doing? Just think about that. So the next time you're sharing, ask yourself, can this person I'm sharing with do what I just did? Can they say what I just said? Can they duplicate what I just did? And if you do that, you'll succeed much easier.